Now I'm going to tell you something about the legal framework in which animal use is regulated in the UK. Animal use is regulated by the Scientific Procedures Act of 1986. This act protects all living animals who have a backbone, all vertebrates, plus 2 species of octopus. Other animals, other invertebrates, such as slugs, fruit flies and so forth, are not regulated under the Act and therefore have no protection in law. The Animals Act regulates research through a licensing process which is administered by the Home Office. There are 3 levels of licence. The first is a personal licence, which researchers must study and sit exams in order to be able to get. The second level of licence is a project licence. The project licence is granted to a principal investigator. The principal investigator must fill out a long form which gives details of the experiments that they wish to carry out, the reason why they want to carry out those experiments, and what the benefit of those experiments will be. The final level of licensing is the designated establishment licence. This is the licence that determines where animal research can be carried out. The designated establishment licence is held by a really important person within the institution, often the Vice-Chancellor or the Registrar of a university or the Managing Director of a company for private research. The designated establishment licence specifies exactly which rooms may be used, exactly what procedures may be carried out in each room. The project licence specifies what procedures may be carried out and on how many animals. And the personal licence designates what procedures may be carried out and who by. This whole process of licensing is policed by a team of Home Office inspectors who can visit an establishment with no notice, demand to look at animals, at records or at experimental equipment. This is a very rigorous set of licensing, one of the most rigorous in the world. The number of animal experiments which have been carried out in the UK has been falling over the past few years. There's a graph here and you can see the number of experiments which have been carried out. There was a peak in the 1970s, which then fell off through the 80s and the 90s. And now, for the last few years, the number of animal experiments has actually been slightly rising. This is due in most part to an increase in the experiments which have been carried out using genetically manipulated animals. Even breeding a genetically manipulated animal counts as a licensed procedure. Although the number of procedures has been rising, the number of actual experiments has probably been falling. People are often surprised by the types of animals that are used in research in the UK. 73% of the animals used for scientific research in the UK are mice. Rats account for only 9% and other rodents for 1%. So the notion of a guinea pig within the laboratory is absolutely not true. It's mice. The number of primates used in the UK is also incredibly low. So when animal rights protesters send out pictures and videos of animals in the laboratory, which tend to be primates or other cute fluffy animals, it's actually not a particularly good representation of what's going on most of the time within the laboratories in the UK. When the Home Office are deciding whether to grant somebody a licence in order to carry out an experiment or not, they carry out a cost-benefit analysis. The cost-benefit analysis is at the heart of UK legislation, and therefore in the UK the justification for animal experimentation is the justification by benefit. Also at the heart of UK legislation is the 3 R's. These principles were put together by Russell and Birch in order to improve animal welfare in experiments. The 3 R's are reduction alternatives, replacement alternatives, and refinement alternatives. Reduction alternatives are about reducing the number of animals that are used in experiments. This involves making really good experimental designs that use power analysis and other statistics in order to determine the minimum number of animals used within an experiment. It also involves using really good experimental design in order to get as much data out of each animal as possible. The second of the 3 R's is refinement. Refinement is about creating really good experiments, using good laboratory procedures, using appropriate anaesthetics and other treatments if animals are undergoing surgery, and psychology has got a really important role to play in refinement. By understanding animal welfare, psychologists can refine the ways in which they keep the animals. They can understand the best ways of housing the animals and are providing things like environmental enrichment in order to improve the lives of those animals while they are in the experiments. And the final of the 3 R's is replacement, which is replacing animals. Where they can, psychologists use cell lines and computer models, but obviously for whole animal experiments this is difficult. But replacement also involves using animals that are as low down the phylogenetic chain as possible. If an experiment can be carried out using slugs, then there is no need to use higher animals such as mice or rodents. If an experiment can be carried out using mice, then there's no need to use higher primates. And so replacement, as well as involving replacing animals, also involves using animals that are of less cognitive ability where it's possible. In summary then, what I've told you about today is the ways in which animals have contributed to the understanding of psychology, the ethical arguments surrounding the use of animals, and also the way in which animal use is regulated in the UK. The way in which animal experiments are regulated in the UK is the most rigorous in the world, and it's very important that animal work can carry on in the UK, as otherwise it gets exported to countries where there are less rigorous controls. Thank you.